Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have on my channel Avalon Brown. Please welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for inviting me this morning.
All right. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Okay, I live in Newark, New Jersey. I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for like 39 years. I am presently working in the field of infection control. So I've been right in the middle of the pandemic, keeping busy, trying to help people, keep people safe.
Mhm.
Um, also, I love to go outside. I love the outdoors, which I've been missing a little bit because of the pandemic. I've basically been coming home and go to work. I love going to church. Right now, church is, a major part of my life. Serving God and obeying God's will is where my life is at this point. Um, I am an author of 6 children books. I have a memoir. I have also a bibliography about my father's life because he was a bishop. I'm a co-author in an anthology, and I'm presently in the middle of a second anthology, which will be coming out soon. So I really don't want to tell the title yet, but this is what I've been doing. My real goal is to have the children's book where I have 7 grandchildren, 2 great grands, and each one of them will be a character in each one of my children's books. So this is sort of like a legacy that I'm leaving for them. So that's my real goal of writing my children books.
Okay. Now, what is your genre and what attracts you to this genre?
Well, the children books, there was a school teacher that I met at a book expo because at the present time, I had just written my bibliography of my father's life, and I was going in that direction. I had a couple of titles that I was going to write about. And she told me when we got to talking, she's actually a school teacher from my town, and she found out that I was a registered nurse. So she said, "Why don't you start writing children books in your field? You can probably get them into the school. It might be educational for some of the children." And I told her, well, children books was the farthest thing from my mind. But then at that point, I started thinking about it. So the title actually came to me at the book expo, and it was like, "Mommy, why do I have a cold?" So I was like, okay, how can I write about this title? And so I thought about one of my grandchildren during the winter, how she's always running out with her coat open, no hat on. So I just kind of took the book from there and, wrote about things that might cause a child to catch a cold. So once I wrote her book, then I realized I had other grandchildren and they're going to be like looking for a book from them. So that's what it just, I just started writing. I have at least I would say 5 of them written, 5, maybe 7 written, but just, the first couple of 4 or 5 that's actually published.
Okay. What do you love most about writing stories for children?
Well, for me, because of the direction I'm going, I kind of watch my grandchildren. So I like to write about things that they like. So if I like the one about the cold, that's about her. The recent book where about the needle, that needle's not for me. That's about a granddaughter goes to the doctor who absolutely hates to get needles and fight with the doctor to get needles. So it's like I like looking at things that they do, and I just take the story from what they like or things that they're doing. So that gives me joy because, watching your grandchildren do different things, then I get ideals from there to write the story about.
Okay. Tell us about each one of your books.
Okay, the first book I wrote was, like I said, was "Mommy, Why Do I Have a Cold?" Okay, this is about a little girl who wakes up and discovers she can't go to school because her mother tells she has a fever. So she wants and tells her, "I think you're coming down with a cold. So she wants to know, why do I have a cold and where do colds come from? So the mother goes and get the nana, who's a nurse, who comes in and start telling the little girl different things that might have caused her to catch a cold and might keep her from getting a cold again. And this way, once she gets well, the nana's going to look after her, and then, she'll be able to go to school. The next book I wrote was about my one of my great grandsons. And this book had to do a little bit with dialysis because his father, uh, at a younger age, his father's like 25, 26, and discovered he had kidney failure because him and the son is always together. And then the father finds out that he has kidney failure. They can't go out on the weekends anymore. He decides to have dialysis at home, and the child is concerned because he sees this big machine coming in, and the father talks to him and kind of explain to him that this will make him feel better, and so this way they'll be able to start going out again. So that's where that story is. The next children book, like I said, was about the grandchild. That needle is not for me, who goes to the doctor, not knowing that she has to get a vaccine, and she fights with the doctor. The doctor got to convince her to take this vaccine. The next children book, this is the recent one. That church is not for me. This is one of the grandchildren who loves to sing gospel songs since she was 2. She's 8 now, and she's always sung gospel songs. Her favorite song was what is it? Break Every Chain. Every time you see her, she's animated with this song. She loved this song. So this is about a little girl who goes to church. Her mother takes her to church the first time, and she's enjoying the different things that's on in the church service. She wants to be a part. She wants to get up and speak just to say thank God for being here. She enjoys the choir. It's all about the church service that she's enjoying, and she wants to go back. I don't want to tell you too much of what goes on during the service. So those are the children book. And there was another one. The first one was about a mouse in the house, where there was a story by actually one of the seniors in the church actually drew the little pictures in this one because she went down to her basement. She's looking for her things in the closet. She thought she saw some mouse droppings, and I made a story out of that, her running to tell her husband. And I let her draw the pictures. So when you see the pictures, it looked like a child, but it's actually the senior who I let draw the picture. And I just made a children's book out of her story. And that's what I do. And this was my very first book back in 2018. It was The Devil All Along. And this is all about my struggle in nursing, becoming a nurse, wanting to be a nurse, being told that I shouldn't be a nurse, how I had to struggle. Like I was the only Black nurse for 12 years between all 3 shifts on a unit. And, I had to go through a lot of struggles because I started back in the 80s. So if anybody's been a nurse back in the 80s, you know the different type of struggles. So I wrote about my story. This was the next book, My Two Bishops and Mother, and it's the story about my father becoming a bishop, always wanting to be a preacher since he was young. And he finally he went through a lot of things. He stopped going to school because he had to help work at home and in the second grade. But by the time he was grown, and he ended up doing seasonal work and moved up to the north because they lived in the south. They found a little church in Newark, New Jersey. He went there. He became, involved in the church, eventually got ordained as a bishop and founded his own church. So it's his journey from finding his own church to the point when he died. But during that time, he mentored someone and put them in place. So when he died, there would already be someone in place, no confusion, and the church never missed a beat. This book here is a #1 seller and international. This is the anthology that I am part of, The Pivot. There's 20 authors in this book, and we all talked about our experience of what we had to do to change ourselves to become more successful in life.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Can you read a snippet from one of your books?
Yes, I'm going to read from That Needle Is Not For Me. Okay. By the look on Brooklyn's face, Dr. Blue knew he wasn't going to be able to give Brooklyn this needle without a fight. When Brooklyn saw the doctor holding the needle, Brooklyn took and looked at the doctor, shook her finger, and said, "No, no, no, that cannot be. I know that needle is not for me. I don't want that needle today. Please, please take it away." So, Brooklyn, there's a picture of Brooklyn shaking her finger because she is refusing to let this doctor stick her with this
Yes.
needle.
Yes. Okay. What inspired you to write?
It's just, you know how when you're young, and I guess because I was going through so much in nursing, I kept saying, one day I'm going to write this story. I'm going to let people know what's going on here. People, I love nursing. It's my passion. It's what I do. But then there's a dark side of nursing that people don't know. But I see it starting to come out in articles as nurse bullying. But that's been going on for a long time. And I kept saying, one day I'm gonna write my story. So in 2012, I went out with my knee because my knee went out and I had to be out for a while, like 8 weeks with my knee. And while I was out, the mother of the church said, you always talking about writing a book. This is the time while you out doing nothing to write the book. So I got it written in 3 months. Then I didn't know how to publish the book. I was holding the book and I said, mother, I wrote this book, so how? She said, go to the library. I went to the library and I didn't know they had a whole section in the library of how to publish a book. And I just took the books and I took a couple of books out, start writing notes, and I just took it from there and it just kept going. I never stopped.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about your process of writing your books. How did you get your ideas, and did you start with an object person? How did you start your writing process?
Well, like I said, with the first book, the first time I started writing, it was based on things that I have gone through. And with the children books, I look at, like I said, what they're doing, what I like about what they're doing, and I take the ideals from that. A lot of times, the more that I learn about writing, the better my process is because before I started out writing on paper. Then the next, I started doing on the computer. And then
Mhm.
someone gave me the idea. Now what I do is I sit and talk in my phone under documents. And before I know it, I have a whole chapter and I just keep saving and pasting like that. So it's saving me a lot of time of writing. And since I found this website called Grammarly, it's like helping me all together. So,
Mhm.
the more I learn, and then I join like author groups online and stuff. So, what I don't know, I'm learning from other authors, collaborating with them and picking up ideas from other authors.
Okay. How do you promote your books?
Right now, well, before all the pandemic, I would go to a lot of the book fairs, online. Lately, it's been mostly social media. I try to catch interviews if someone's offering and want to interview authors. I try to catch those. So, but because I'm working full time, my promotion is not, and I'm in the middle of the pandemic. I'm, helping training this and doing that and the other as infection control. It's like I'm not doing as much promotion as I probably could.
Mm. What can you tell us about your path to publishing?
I started out doing traditional publishing. And the first publishing company that I was with, after a couple of years, they folded. I don't know if you ever heard of tape publishing. Whatever happened, whatever was going on, that folded. Then I picked up, someone introduced me to another publishing company. Now I think after dealing with a lot of the publishing companies and then trying to self-publish, I self-publish, I think, two of my books. I see the difference on both sides, and I think I'm going to continue going self-publishing because I found out, well, with the publishing companies that I have, I found out they didn't really do much for me. They published the books, but the promotion still was on me. So I think I'm going to stay on that road of self-publishing, and just, seeing what other authors are doing the best way and the best way, how they're promoting their books.
Okay. How do you develop your plot and characters?
It just kind of come to me. I can't even explain that part. It's like once I start writing, and I have the ideal and what I'm going to write about, and especially with the children, that particular child, the rest of it just starts coming out of my imagination, if I could say it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the most part about writing for you?
Difficult part? I really haven't found a difficult part. Um, because the way I write is like at that moment, if I feel something in my head, I'm going to sit down and start, putting it in, or I'm going to talk in the phone. So, the difficult part, I haven't really run into that difficult part of writing yet.
Okay.
Maybe because I'm writing about my grandchildren,
Children.
so I
Yes.
haven't run into that difficult part yet.
Okay. What has been your greatest accomplishment thus far in your writing career?
I guess seeing the children books actually published. Once I get them published and I get to give them a copy and they see the copy, I think that's my greatest accomplishment. Looking at, how excited they are to see their names actually in the book is about them. I think that's my greatest accomplishment is, seeing those children faces.
Mhm. What are you currently working on right now?
Right now, like I said, I'm in part of another anthology that will be coming out soon. And also my the next book will be the 13-year-old. I'm finished. I'm actually writing the 13-year-old and the 17-year-old. I'm doing their books simultaneously because I know what I want, want to write about them. And I'm almost finished the 13-year-old and I'm halfway through the 17-year-old. Well, speaking of difficulty, what's going to be difficult to write is the 24-year-old. I have a 24-year-old granddaughter and I have a 22-year-old grandson. I think that's where my block is going to be because whatever I write about them, it has to be something where they approve. I want them to approve of the title and the direction that I'm going. I don't want it to be something where they read and they're upset about it. That's where my block may come because I'm really trying to think of a topic for those two.
Okay. Where can we find you and your books?
Okay, all of my books are on Amazon. Also, I have a website, author.avalonsb.com. You can also find them on my website too.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
Um, no, just that, I'm just thankful for all of those who have supported me so far. Keep writing. If you got an ideal and you think it's not a good ideal, write it down on paper anyway. You never know what direction it will take you in. There's a pleasure in writing. If you like me, I'm loving writing my children books right now because it is about my grandchildren. And for me, you maybe I shouldn't say it like this, but if it don't get a lot of sales, at least the grandchildren can look at a book and say, "Oh, my nana wrote that book for me." So it'll be like a legacy for them.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.